It's true. No joke. No joke. Oh. You know what it is. Keep on hating. You know what it is. Joke, no joke. I'm in the building, baby. Merry Christmas to all my peoples out there. Feliz Navidad to all my Boricuas, my Mexicanos, my Latinos out there. Feliz Navidad to you. Happy Hanukkah to all my Africans, Muslims, pro-black people. Shout out to all y'all. All right. Straight up Merry Christmas to my Caucasians. Um, and anything and everything under the sun. Much love to y'all. Choke no joke. Y'all already know we in the building. It's Christmas time in the city. Ding-a-ling. Last saw Diddy's ding-a-ling. Today it is Christmas Day. Shout out to everybody out there celebrating Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. Shout out to all my Jewish people too. Happy Hanukkah to y'all. Can't forget y'all. You know what I mean? Y'all don't fall under the Caucasian. We're going to give y'all happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish people out there. Shout out to y'all. This show tonight is going to be a long one. I'm here to entertain. I got update in the Keefe D trial. I got new information in the Keefe D trial and the Tupac trial. This show here, if you're not subscribed to the channel, you will not be able to join the chat. I'm just letting you know now. So if you want to join the chat or if you trying to type in the chat and you don't see your stuff coming up, that's because you're not subscribed or you're not a member. This is a Christmas show. This one is for the gift for all my real supporters. All right. So this is for all the real ones that support me. So if you're not a member or you haven't been a subscriber or you're not a subscriber, either you could subscribe now and join the channel and comment, or you could just sit back and watch the show, right? And the reason for that is there's so many people that get mad. Like I seen so people get mad at the post that I did about Nicki Minaj and her over there with Trump, right? If you don't like me for political views, then you don't like me. So it ain't no reason for you to come in here and comment this, that, and the other. You know, I don't have to support the Democrats. I don't have to support the Republicans. I support who I want to. I never voted a day in my life. Never. Right? So I can have an opinion on who and what I want. So if you don't rock with me, you talking about, oh nigga, I ain't playing, I ain't subscribing to your channel because you supporting Nicki Minaj. Bye. Nicki can do what she want. I never met Nicki Minaj in my life. I never been to a Nicki Minaj concert in my life. But if I have an opinion and you don't like it because of political views, if you cool with the Democrats, the ones that made people able to go play sports, men play sports with women, that's on you. I don't support that. I don't think men should be playing sports with women because they threw on the wig or they identify as a woman. I don't believe in that. I have daughters, right? I have nieces. I don't want no man beating up on my niece because or my daughter or granddaughter because he identifies as a woman because he threw on the wig and the dress. That's not who I am. I don't support that. I believe what Trump believes. It's only two genders, male and female. If you don't like that, that's on you. If you don't like me because of that, that's on you. If you want your daughter, your wife, your sister, your auntie, your niece, your granddaughter to lose their spot to a man that identify as a woman, that's on you. I don't have to support that. And if you don't like me because I don't support that, then the hell with you. Find a short pair and take a long walk. Okay? That's what it is over here. And if you don't like that, then that's fine. That's fine. But you won't be joining this conversation tonight. All right? This is for the subscribers. This is for the membership people, those who support me, even when they don't agree with everything that I say, but still support me. This is for y'all. And we're going to have a good one tonight. You heard me? Shout out to Fatima B, first in the building. Merry Christmas to you. Carla, second in the building. All right. Merry Christmas to you. Heidi, what up? Merry Christmas to you. Outlaw 78, fourth in the building. Merry Christmas to you. All right. Ursula in the building. All right. Merry Christmas to you. Mr. Parks in the building. Merry Christmas to you. CC Crippen, what up? Merry Christmas to you. The Observer of Thoughts. Merry Christmas to you. Our Lover, you know what it is. Merry Christmas to you. All right. Choke no joke. We in the building. Y'all know how we do. Feliz Navidad to my man Whack on Wood. All right. Happy Kwanzaa to Jay Arthur. You already know. Happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish people out there. You already know. Choke no joke. I don't discriminate. All right. We all are human at the end of the day. Until the aliens come down here and then we got to fight together as one as humans. I don't want to hear none of that bull crap. We all human. You know what I'm saying? And when the aliens come down, you're going to be talking about, oh, I'm not fighting with you because you black. Or I ain't taking your side because you white. Or I ain't taking your side because you Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, when them aliens come down here with 3 heads, you all going to be human. I was in New York in 9/11. When them planes hit the towers, nobody was talking about goddamn who's white, who's black, who's Puerto Rican, who's Indian, who's Jewish, who's Mexican. Everybody was running. Everybody was running. When them planes hit the Twin Towers in New York, everybody was running and helping each other. Nobody looked at each other because of their race, religion, creed, or anything other. All right? Niggas was like, yo, you a Republican? Oh man, I'm not helping you. Everybody helped everybody. All right? So stop being racist. Stop discriminating good people because they don't have the same religion or political views that you have. Enjoy people for who they are. Because when tragedy hits, nobody's looking at nobody's race, religion, or creed. All right? Choke no joke. You know what it is, man. Let's get the show started. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Choke no joke. Make sure y'all get that Tunnel documentary. It's out right now. I will drop the link for y'all. Let's get to the show. You already know. We here now.
Choke no joke. Yeah. It's choke no joke. Let's go.
Supreme Bigger Figure, Big Cap, The Warden, The Club King.
The DJ Johnny Walker Red.
MC Frank Jigger, the celebrity's choice.
Sean Brophy, sound engineer.
Choke no joke,
legendary videographer. Sterling Cox, I was the head of security. Alpha Grenier.
My name is V.
Omega.
Big G.
Vim Rock from the legendary Naughty by Nature.
Styles P the Ghost, LOX, D-Block.
Tech Smith & Wesson.
LB Fan, Mr. Cheeks.
The Cool, the DJ, the Red Alert.
Kid Capri.
The tunnel was a hip-hop nucleus.
It was the epicenter.
It was the domain, the temple.
It was the Mecca.
Nothing was that melting pot of hip-hop.
They kept the paradigm going.
It's almost like what Rucker did for street basketball. The tunnel was that of music industry.
My Sunday ritual going to the tunnel was, I'm telling you, your ass better be there.
You just pretty much did push-ups. We had to drink a couple bottles of Hennessy, go get smoked.
Leave the jewelry and watches at home.
Before you even get to the tunnel, you gotta get on the block.
You started from 11th Avenue, and when you got to that door, the search procedures was no other.
First time I ever heard of take your shoes off, open your mouth was in the tunnel.
It was damn near everything but a full cavity search.
Security at the tunnel was no joke.
The beatdowns did happen.
Some of them, you had that chain out, that shit was leaving with one of them niggas.
We had a handful of cats. When we were taking you out, they were digging in your pockets.
The code check at the tunnel was crazy because you didn't know if you was gonna get your shit back.
Sometimes the bloops happen where you might not get your coat.
A lot of boys wanted to get their girls some fur coats, you know, so I mean, it was free.
The bar was always on till after the tunnel.
You might get fake alcohol. Bartenders might have got counterfeit.
The dance floor is always rocking.
It looked like a video all the time.
The tunnel had a very unique situation at the bathroom. It was co-ed.
The bathroom was Solomon and Gomorrah.
I was like this, trying to look past the dudes like when they was going in the urinal.
The tunnel was a one-stop shop. They had food, they had alcohol, drugs.
I saw weed the tub. It was just oozing money.
Backstage is like the club amongst the club.
That's where all the so-called stars who was scary to be in the crowd, that's where they hung out at.
The dopest things about the tunnel for me to remember is hearing my records get played up in there.
The top, maybe, of all-time tunnel banger.
Or anything Bad Boy.
Every Biggie record, any shit by Hov.
Shook Ones was bananas in there.
Nori Capone, that bang bang.
Annie up.
Any one of Buster joints, Wild Out would actually start a fight.
The best performance I ever seen, Jay-Z performed in front of the DJ booth. The DJ booth was bouncing like a ball.
Snoop and Dre, when Dre was there.
DMX, Get At Me, Dog.
The king of the tunnel was Jay-Z.
Busta Rhymes.
DMX is the king.
Queen of the tunnel.
Mary J. Blige.
Foxy and Lil Kim.
Eve.
King of the tunnel record label-wise was Def Jam.
Bad Boy.
The best DJ at the tunnel was Flex.
Big Cap, all day. Flex used to break off the records, but he used to try to bully Cap, like, don't spin this, because when I get here, I want to spin it. No, nigga, fuck wrong with you?
What the tunnel did for artists, it solidified their street music.
That gave us a platform, set up Rough Riders, Rockefeller, Bad Boy, slew of other artists.
The closing of the tunnel, it was kind of sad because that was a big piece of hip-hop.
So losing the tunnel was like a little kid losing Disney.
A famous mosque closing down.
I think when the tunnel closed, it was necessary. Niggas was coming to miss me.
When you hear people of the late 70s talked about Studio 54, the tunnel was the Studio 54 of hip-hop.
Yeah, said it. Let's go out to the East Coast, West Coast. Put it up. No palm tree, the trees in the palms of dealers and fiends. Late night roam the streets. Weed is weaker, but it's cheaper. Not many chicks frontin' like divas. Out west, every chick's a model like Eva, and you know I'm far from believing her. So I'm G'ing her like she G'ing me. Banging in LA is a different thing. At the end, you either dead on the bang, getting out, doing better things. On Sunset, where they hang. Hollywood, where they hustle for change. Times Square here, it's the same. No matter where you go, you'll find a lane. On the west, they kick it with Kane. On the east, trees, the social thing. East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast. Grab your raps, roll it up. If you rap, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast. Grab your glasses, take a toast. If you rap, East Coast. When I'm on the west and I'm doing my thing, no one for me coke or your nose I bang. Friends don't offer other deadly things. Thanks for the hospitality, we'll still hang. I won't judge you, leave me as I came. On the road to success, top of the game. Eat all the finer things in the food chain. Teach my kids to do the same. Whether East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast. Grab your raps, roll it up. If you rap West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast. Grab your glasses, take a toast. If you rap East Coast, gotta love life and offer wonderful things. Being to travel is a privileged thing. Came back to the East, air wasn't fresh. Streets filled with trash, various people in the eye. It's easy to tell who's upper middle class. Police and racism, same as crash. Back to where they not social, where they less vocal. When they don't know you, be careful, show you around the East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast. Grab your raps, roll it up. If you rap East Coast, whether East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, pop your bottles and toss the cork. If you rap West Coast, both coasts are known to give you fame. Got paparazzi's playing cameras your way. Got you bobbing and weaving like Cassius Clay. Most thugs turn Muslim in older days. Change their name to Allah they pray. Probably till they decay. This go out to the east and west. For Big and Pac, y'all, let's connect. Whether East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast. Grab your raps, roll it up. If you rap West Coast, whether East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast. You can't get the West without the ES. So it's manifested that we connect. You know what it is. Choke, no joke. Learn from mistakes, baby. You know what it is. Greg on the track. Rest in peace, baby. Either war, we here now. You know what it is. Choke, no joke. About to do a little smile treatment, you know. Yeah.
Choke, no joke, Chiggy choke, no joke. Choke, no joke, Chiggy choke, no joke. We in the building, y'all. We in the building, all right? This is a subscriber only show. So if you want to participate, you got to hit that subscribe button. So if you're wondering why you're not seeing your comment come up, this is a subscriber show. Hit the subscribe button and you can join the conversation. Cheers to all my ballers and ballettes out there. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Feliz Navidad. You know what it is, man. My prayers go out to everybody that lost somebody this year, or you missing somebody in your family that is normally around at this time, and you feeling that void and you in pain. We here to share some love with you today. You know, so if you lost a mother, a father, a grandmother, a aunt, a uncle, a sister, a brother, a niece, a nephew, a friend, a girlfriend, a spouse, our prayers go out to you. I will give a moment of silence for those people who lost somebody. And, you know, these holidays is hard. This moment of silence go out to you. All right. Everybody say a prayer for somebody. All right. Amen. All right. That's that go out to you know, the people that's struggling right now with dealing with the holidays, because it's a reminder of them missing their loved ones. Right. So what's going on, right? There's a few things that we got to touch on, right? So first and foremost, Keefe D has filed a motion in court He filed a motion to suppress evidence obtained from unlawful nighttime search, right? And he also replaced uh, the lawyer Michael Pandulo, the one that I interviewed a little, what was that? Ugh, maybe 2 months ago. So remember the interview that I did with Michael Pandulo? Um, he got replaced by a lawyer by the name of William H. Brown, and he's taking over the case for Michael Pandulo. So this motion to suppress is dated on December 22nd, which is just 3 days ago, and it says comes down defendant Dwayne Davis by and through his counsel Robert M. Jaskrofovich. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Right? And William H. Brown, and moves for an order suppressing the evidence obtained from an unlawful nighttime search, or alternatively for a Frank-style evidentiary hearing. This motion is made and based on the attachment memorandum of points and authority supporting exhibits and declaration of counsel. Now, a Frank style evidentiary hearing is, I'm going to look it up because I'm not familiar with what that is. A Frank style evidentiary hearing, or simply a Frank's hearing, is a court proceeding where a criminal defendant can challenge the truthfulness of statements made by law enforcement in a sworn affidavit used to obtain a search or arrest warrant. The hearing's purpose is to ensure that the search warrants, which are protected under the Fourth Amendment, are based on honest information, not deliberate falsehoods or reckless misrepresentations by the police. So basically, let me mute my phone so it don't keep interrupting me. So basically, Keefe D is challenging this arrest warrant when they came and raided his house in Vegas. I want to say almost maybe 2 years ago, but we all seen it live on, well, not live, but we all seen them, the arrest go down. Like, it was at nighttime, maybe like 11, 12, 1 in the morning, out in Henderson, Vegas, Las Vegas. Shout out to everybody out there in Henderson. I like Henderson. That's a nice area of Vegas. I was thinking about moving there at one point, right? So the motion is made and based on the attached memorandum of points and authorities supporting exhibits and declarations of counsel. So, introduction. Can a police officer mislead a judge into believing there's a good cause? Let me blow this up. To search a citizen's home at night and just walk away with the evidence? That is the question this motion presents. Nevada law requires good cause for nighttime execution of a search warrant, which means reasonable necessity, typically a typically a credible risk that evidence will disappear if officers wait until morning. A judge finding, I'm a little tipsy, y'all, so bear with me. A judge finding of good cause is reviewed for abuse of discretion, and a court abuse is discretion when it relies on clearly erroneous facts or disregards controlling law. That is what happened when the judge found good cause to search the Wayne Davis home at night. First, the court unwillingly relied on a misleading. Hold on, y'all. It's my mom Duke calling right now. Let me see what Mama Duke what. Hold on. I had to send Mama Duke some Uber Eats. So she's just making sure that let me know her order was okay. Everything was right. All right. Yeah, unpopping. Yeah, I'm drinking, not thinking. I got my drink here. I wish her happy holidays for my YouTube family when I get back on the phone with her. I had to let her know I'm live with the YouTubers. All right. So, all right, let's move on. All right. This is what happened when the judge found good cause to search the Wayne Davis home at night. First, the court unwittingly relied on a misleading portrait of Davis as a dangerous drug dealer, when in fact his drug convictions were 25 years old and he was now a 60-year-old retired cancer survivor that had lived quietly in the same Henderson home for nearly a decade. Excuse me. Second, the court overlooked the case specific urgency or safety concerns Nevada law requires to justify nighttime searches, accepting instead generic safety theories that would apply to virtually any search of any home. When officers obtain nighttime authorization through bad faith, courts agree suppression is appropriate. Bad faith is evident from the face of the affidavit supporting the search warrant. If the court doesn't find that sufficient to suppress, then there's a 5-year old, and it was a 5-year old, and he is now 60-year-old retired cancer that lived in quietly in the same home for nearly a decade. Second, the court overlooked the case specific urgency or safety concerns Nevada law requires to justify nighttime searches, accepting instead generic safe theories that would apply to virtually any search of any home. When officers obtain nighttime authorization through bad faith, courts agree suppression is appropriate. Bad faith is evident from the face of the affidavit supporting the search warrant. If the court doesn't find that sufficient to suppress the evidence from the search, it should at least order a Frank style hearing to uncover Hold on. I think I skipped a page. Okay. To uncover. Let me close these out. I'm skipping pages. To uncover whether omissions in the nighttime search justification were intentional or reckless, and what remedy is appropriate. Nevada made a choice to protect its citizens from unjustified nighttime searches. Those protections mean nothing if officers can circumvent them through deception without consequence. The court shouldn't allow that. Now, the background, the search warrant application. On July 15, 2023, so this July coming around be 2 years since they raided his house. So it's been like a year and a half. On July 15, 2023, a Las Vegas Metro detective finalized a search warrant application in one of the most famous unsolved murders in American history. The drive-by shooting of Tupac Shakur on September 7th, 1996, just off the Las Vegas Strip. Just off the Vegas Strip. Uh, 27 years had passed, and the detective now wanted to search the Henderson home of a 60-year-old man named Dwayne Davis based on public statements Davis had made years earlier. And he wanted to do it, and then he wanted to do it at night. Getting a warrant required two things. First, probable cause, some reason to believe evidence of Shakur's murder would be found in Davis' home. Secondly, good cause for nighttime execution, some legitimate reason officers couldn't search Dwayne's home between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. as Nevada law requires. As Nevada law requires absent special circumstances. What the supporting affidavit contained was surprisingly thin and fell way short of explaining why, after 27 years, Davis' home needed to be searched that night. Well, let me just say something. There is a law where they supposed to search your house or on a warrant at certain hours of the day. And clearly, if they said 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and they raided his house at later in those hours, then I'm not saying it's a legal search, but technically they supposed to raid your house or search your house between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. and they didn't. So I think this is why he trying to get a motion to suppress, because they ran up in his house outside of those hours. To establish probable probable cause, the affidavit relies on evidence that is years and even decades old. Self-serving statements by Davis that didn't match other evidence and a rogue LAPD detective, which I'm sure is Greg Caden. Number one, the only fresh evidence and statements Davis made years earlier, repeating details already publicly known. The evidence search warrant affidavit relied on to the connect. Wait, the evidence, the search warrant affidavit relied on to connect Davis to Shakur's murder was years and sometimes decades old. The affidavit essentially consists of recycled interviews conducted shortly after the 1996 killing and public statements Davis made years later claiming to have been present. According to the affidavit, David Davis according to the affidavit, Davis' public statement came in a 2018 BET documentary, The Death Row Chronicles. Then the following year, in an autobiography book, Compton Street Legend, written by Yusuf Jah. Oh, so now they saying the book ain't written by Keefe D, it's written by Yusuf Jah. Which we know gotta be true, because Keefe D can't remember nothing that's in that goddamn book when Vlad was interviewing him. And later in YouTube documentaries, in each, Davis claims to have been in the front passenger seat of a white Cadillac from which Shakur was shot. The affidavit relies heavily on Compton Street Legend, in particular, quoting verbatim long portions of the literary work, but adding notes indicating where the story is consistent with, or more often, diverges from the evidence. It does not appear from the affidavit that anyone spoke with Yusuf Jah to determine whether the portions of the book quoted in the affidavit are the words of Davis or Jah. Basically saying, like, they took the stuff from the book and said, oh, this is all Keefe D. Keefe D said everything in this book. And they didn't question the writer to see if he came up with some of this stuff that's in the book. They just make it like everything that's in the book is written from Keefe D. In any event, Davis' public statements are generally consistent with the known facts. A white Cadillac pulled alongside Suge Knight's BMW at a stoplight on Flamingo, and the passenger fired a 40 caliber Glock at Knight and Shakur. But all of that had been public knowledge for years, and Davis never offered any details that would firmly corroborate his alleged presence in the Cadillac. Nothing that an attentive reader of news coverage or casual internet browser couldn't have known. And relatively few non-public details he did provide didn't quite jibe with the evidence. Number two, the non-public details Davis provides either make no sense, contradict the evidence, or both. Davis claimed that Shakur shot first is unsupported by the evidence. According to Davis' public statement, Shakur shot first. The affidavit provides this quote from the book. Pac pulled out the strap, and that's when the fireworks started. One of my guys from the back seat grabbed the Glock and started busting. Back. But Shakur's shooting first doesn't coincide with what happened moments after the shooting when, according to the affidavit, police stopped Knight's BMW and found neither a gun nor shell casings inside the car. To this day, after almost 30 years of investigations, there's still no evidence that Shakur had a gun, let alone that he shot first. Nothing, in other words, that corroborates that critical detail of Davis' story. If you just tuned in, this Choke No Joke, we live, we going over Keefe D's suppression, suppression to throw away all the evidence they found in his house when they raided back in July 2023. If you can't see your comments, this is a subscribe only show. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, you might want to hit that subscribe button to join the conversation. All right. This is all for subscribers and members on this Christmas Day, and happy holidays to you. David's story about the white Cadillac being shot up is implausible and uncorroborated. In public statements, Davis claimed that the white Cadillac was shot the F up in the exchange of gunfire, so he let it sit for a few days in Compton, then took it to the paint shop to be painted and cleaned out before returning it to the rental car. And then returning it to the rental car place. It is highly implausible, to say the least, that a bullet-riddled white Cadillac, same make, model, and color of vehicle seen fleeing a high-profile Las Vegas murder was simply repainted and returned to a rental car company without raising suspicion. The affidavit doesn't reference any cooperation of this fact, and as with Davis' claim that Shakur shot first, his assertion that the white Cadillac was shot the F up likewise remains entirely unfounded after 29 years of investigation. C. Not a single eyewitness or Metro report confirms Davis' claim about a second chase vehicle. Publicly, Davis had described a second vehicle, a white Chrysler Sebring. White? I thought it was green. The chick said they was in a green Sebring, not a white one. A white Chrysler Sebring full of young ladies that allegedly chased them after the shooting until their window was shot, until their window got shot out. So they stopped. But not a single eyewitness reported seeing this. Frank Alexander, for one, was, according to the affidavit, a member of Knight's security team who was behind Knight's car when the shooting occurred, chased the shooter's vehicle afterwards, but never mentioned the second chase vehicle, let alone, I don't even remember Frank saying he chased the car. I thought that was Buntry in him. But never mentioned a second chase vehicle, let alone one that had its window shot out. Nor, according to the affidavit, did any of the three passengers in Alexander's car that night, which included Shakur's brother, Yaful Fula, Las Vegas Metro Police Department, likewise had no record of any other vehicles being struck. being struck by gunfire at Flamingo Lane and Colval at the time. None of the evidence, in other words, confirms Davis' story about a second chase vehicle, while all the evidence in the affidavit contradicts it. D. Davis' story about who was in the Cadillac is contradicted by a jailhouse informant. Davis consistently said publicly there were 4 people in the white Cadillac, himself in the front passenger seat, Terrence Smith driving, and Orlando Anderson and DeAndre Smith in the back. But the affidavit describes how a jailhouse informant told Metro in 1997 that his cellmate confessed to being in the vehicle that shot Tupac and described being with only one of the people Davis claimed to have been with Orlando Anderson, and also have been with 2 people Davis never mentioned, Jerry Barnes and Donnell Brim. Meanwhile, Davis, according to the cellmate's confession, wasn't present. Keefe D might get the hell out. Although Davis' obvious motives to lie explain the contradiction as inconsistencies in his story, the affidavit is oddly credulous. Now, here's something that I found recently, right? Keefe D said in an interview in Murder Rap that after they shot they shot up the car, they made the right, the girls was following them, they shot out their windshield, somebody else was shooting at them, which we come to learn that allegedly was Buntry and whoever was in the car with Buntry, and they were shooting back at them, right? I went back and looked at Murder Rap, right? In Murder Rap, Keefe D said that they went to the carriage house, parked the car, put the gun on top of the tire, and they went and went to their hotel and went to smoke and drink. And in they travels, excuse me, to go and smoke and drink, they saw Tupac and Suge on Las Vegas Boulevard in the ambulance had came, right? Now, let me take a pause for the cause in this right here, right? To show y'all why I don't believe that. Right? Let me bring up Flamingo and Koval. Now, right here, right? Now, right here would be the shooting. If y'all could see, let me see if y'all could see that. Right here, where you see this burgundy car, right? that would be the BMW, right? Now you see these 2 lanes over here next to the divider, those are turning lanes. So Pac and Suge, hold on real quick. Okay. Y'all can see the little hand right here, right? Right here, this would be Pac and Suge, right? This car right here, that would be the white Cadillac in that lane, right? Right here, this in front of Pac and Suge would be K-Dub, right? This car behind this black car would be Frank, right? And if I'm correct, instead of this lane right here being Pac and Suge, they would be in this lane here with this little green station wagon or whatever that is. They would be in this lane, and the white Cadillac would have came in this lane, right? And the girls in the Sebring would have been in this lane because Trayvon Lane would have been in this lane right here where the 3 cars are. So Trayvon Lane would have been in the 3-car lane right here. That was blocking Suge and parking them, right? So they would have been in the lane where the green cars at, right? But just for the sake of what we talking about, right? The purple car would have been Pac and Suge. So if the white Cadillac came pulling up where their hand is, you see it coming, and they would have did the shooting, right? But remember, they all cars would be 1 lane over, right? So this car right here would be where the white Cadillac was at, and Suge and them would have been right here, right? From what Keefe D said in Murder Rap, they pulled up, right? Shot in the car, this lane, right? Pop, 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 right? And then they got in over here and where they almost hit the girls in the scene bring, and they made the right. And they went down Koval, right? Now let me show you something, right? Keefe D said in Murder Rap, they shot up the car, they went to the carriage house, parked the car at the carriage house, put the gun on the front tire, and they left, right? Now look at this. If they made, and then Buntry and them was back here behind those cars, they shoot at Keefe D and them, and then when they making the turn, then they jump in their car and they chase Keefe D and them down Koval Lane, right? Now let me show you something. There's no turning off of Koval, right? So if Buntry and them came up here and chased the Cadillac, right? And the Cadillac turned and they chased them down Koval Lane, right? Keep looking, right? Now there's a driveway right here, but they didn't go here. Remember what they said? They went to the carriage house, right? So what they did is they drove down all the way to East Harmon, right? Look how long this street is. So if Buntry and them would have chased them, there's no way they would be losing them, right? Because they'd be dead in front of them on this long ass straightaway, right? Now, here's the street on Koval and East Harmon. So Keefe D and them bust another right. That would be a right, right? On East Harmon, right? They make a right on East Harmon, right? And they keep going on East Harmon to Audrey Street or Aldry Street, however you pronounce it, right here. Right here, where you see the pink, is the carriage house. You see right here where it say the carriage house? This is where they parked the white Cadillac. right? They came right down here, turned right in here. They parked the Cadillac, right? Put the gun on the tire, and then they said they went. Now, let me remember this, right? Because look, they say they leave here and they go back to their hotel. Their hotel was the Monte Carlo, which is now the Park MGM. I'm gonna show y'all that, right? But look, they leave there and they say they see when they pocket them and pulled over with the ambulance and the police and stuff, right? They go up here to Las Vegas Boulevard. Pac and Suge, let me reduce this size a little bit, right? Pac and Suge is right here on Las Vegas Boulevard when the police jacked them up and searching the car. This is where Chris Conley jack up Suge and when I say jack up, that means pull over, right? Jack up Suge and Pac right here on Las Vegas Boulevard, right? Because I'm gonna show y'all why. Here goes East Flamingo, right? Now remember, we drive right back down East Flamingo, right? You see where it say Tupac Shakur Memorial? That's right here. We back at the cars, right? So now we back at the car. So what Suge did after the shooting, Suge got over here after K-Dub got out of his way, right? And Trayvon got out of his way. Suge went and made a U-turn the same way that where this car is at, right? So that purple car would be the BMW. He came over here, he bust the U-turn, right? According to Suge, some cops rammed his car, which made his rims, made him go and hit the curb over here. Boom, boom. That's why his rims was damaged on that side of the car. When you look at it, Suge rims is damaged on the right side. He told me the cops, some other cops, tried to sideswipe him, and he went on the sidewalk and damaged it, avoiding them and damaged his rims. That's why his rims was damaged. Because all he did was make a U-turn right there. It wouldn't be no reason for his rims to be damaged on the right side, right? So Suge goes all the way up Flamingo, right? And then I'm gonna show y'all something else with the same street, right? Suge drives up East Flamingo, right? Up to Las Vegas Boulevard. Sugar's still driving up here, right? Trying to, wherever he going to the hospital or whatever, right? And then he goes right here to Las Vegas Boulevard and he make this left. Then he starts going down Las Vegas Boulevard right here. And then the police pull him over and they jack him up, right? This is where Chris Conley catches Suge and them at right there. The car pulls over and they search him right there. They try to get Tupac out the car right here. Now, Keefe, remember, Keefe D says when they drop the car off and they go into their hotel, they seen Suge and them in the ambulance. Well, Suge and them would have been right here on Las Vegas Boulevard between East Harmon and Flamingo. Right? Now, you see the Paris is right here. You see the Eiffel Tower right here, right? On this strip right here, it is bananas crazy, right? So if Suge and them was pulled over right here, that means the Outlaws, everybody is all over here because they followed them, right? And the police is jacking them up. So Keefe D and them saying that, look, you got the Bellagio, and it's packed over here, right? Now remember, here go East Harmon right here. This is where, if you go down this street, this is where the carriage house is at, where Keefe D and them, right here, you see it? The carriage house. This is where Keefe D and them parked the Cadillac, got out, put the gun on the tire, right? And then walked up the street and they saw Tupac and Suge being jacked up by the police, or being, you know, the police and the ambulance and everything. They saw it right there, right? Now, I want y'all to think about this, right? Let's go back down to East Harmon to Koval. This is where Buntry and them chased them at, right? Let's go back up Koval to Flamingo. Now, look, you see Tupac Memorial right there? That means this is where Pac got shot at, right? So they drove, made the right down here, came right down to the next corner, made another right, and went right here and parked right here, right? Put the gun on top of the tire, right? And then they walked up here to Las Vegas Boulevard, and they could see Pac and Suge being jacked up by the police, right? Now, let me now they seen them over here. Now let me show you where they walked at, right? Let me open this up a little more so y'all can see, right? So as you can see, this is one big square, right? Let's go back over here, East Harmon, right? There go Koval, right? So they was right here. This is where the shooting took place at, right? They made the right, came down to Koval, right? To East Harmon Avenue. They bust the right. Oh, my light. Oh. They bust the right, came down to East Harmon to Audrey Street, or Audrey, or however you pronounce it. And you see right here, this is the carriage house where they left the car at, in the parking lot, with the gun on the tire, right? Then they walked from there up East Harmon to Las Vegas Boulevard, where they could see Suge and Tupac and the ambulance taking them, right? Now, here's Keefe D and them hotel, right? They would have had to make, once they got up to East Harmon, they would have had to make a left, walk down Las Vegas Boulevard, and this right here is their hotel. The Park MGM Las Vegas, right here, that used to be the Monte Carlo, right? That's what it's called, the Park MGM Las Vegas today. This is their hotel where they walked to after they did the shooting, right? So look at the street right here on Park Avenue. Follow me here, right? So this is their hotel. They walked all the way here. They came down Las Vegas Boulevard after seeing Pac and Suge shot up, right? and they go back all the way up to East Harmon, right? And then they make the right here, and then you go back to the carriage house. So you telling me, now I'm talking to the gangbangers out there, right? I'm talking to the gangbangers out there in the world that who this would make any sense to. You telling me these dudes right here, here's the carriage house, right? This is where they park the car at the carriage house. In this parking lot right here. You telling me these guys I'm making it small so y'all can see how close it is. Right? Right here is Audrey Street. Where you see Audrey Street, that's the carriage house. Right? This is Covell Lane. This is the block they came down, turned here, parked right here, and put the gun on top of the tire in the parking lot. Right? And you see this? This East Flamingo Road? Right here is where Pac got shot at, right at Flamingo and Covell. You tell me these niggas made a right. Right here, came down this block, right? They came down this block, made another right here to Audrey Street, another half a block. Parked the car right here in this parking lot. Got out the car, left the gun on the tire, walked up right here to Las Vegas Boulevard. Because remember, Suge and them bust a U-turn right here, and they came up here to Las Vegas Boulevard, bust the left, and this is where Suge car went out right here. And then the police came, jacked them up, started searching them, and pulled Tupac out the car right here. So they shot them up, right? From right here, put the gun on the tire, walked up the block, seen them getting jacked up by the police, walked right down this block to Park Avenue, right here, right? And went right here to the Park MGM Las Vegas, which it was the Monte Carlo back then, right? Now, the reason I'm showing y'all this, right? They got the description of the white Cadillac. So you telling me these dudes, the police, right? The police from right here, a shooting occurred right here, where I'm circling, Flamingo and Covell. They came one block down to East Harmon, right here, made it right here, drove a half a block right here to Audrey Street, parked the car that they just shot up Tupac in right here, right? And they went right just here. Now remember, Buntry and them is chasing these niggas down this one street. They make one turn and they park right here. And Buntry and them lost them that fast, right? They got out the car, walked up the block. They could see Suge and them getting jacked up by the police, the ambulance and everything. And they walked right here to Park Avenue, right down the block. This from here to the Park MGM, which was the Monte Carlo, is 0.8 miles. 0.8 miles, right? Which is probably an 18-minute walk, right? Which is going to be longer when it's crowded as hell after a Mike Tyson fight, right? So my thing to y'all is this. If the car was parked, if you can see Flamingo from here, from a sky view, right? Right here, Flamingo and Cove Island, they drove down one block and made the right to a half a block. And they right here at the carriage house, right? This is the parking lot at the carriage house. You tell me the police wouldn't have found that white Cadillac? You see how easy it is to spot a white car? They parked right here in this parking lot on East Harmon at the carriage house. Parked the car right here. Put the gun on the tire. Whether they parked in the front or the back. This is the other part of the parking lot, right? You telling me they parked the car right here in this parking lot. And police got the description that a white Cadillac shot up and well, he didn't die at that moment, but over the walkie-talkies, over the radio, over the dispatch, they looking for a white Cadillac. To this day, they looking for a white Cadillac. You tell me these dudes parked the white Cadillac in this parking lot and put the gun on the tire, right? And walked right out of this parking lot to this street, East Harmon, and walked up the block. They walked up 4 Crips after a shooting. 4 guys is walking after a shooting. And they walk right up this street right here. This is Las Vegas Boulevard right here. And they said they was able to see Pac and Suge and them over here. Because Suge and them would have been over here on this side of the street. This is a one-way going one way. So they would have made the left on Las Vegas Boulevard and been right here, right? You telling me that the police wouldn't have found that white Cadillac sitting there overnight in this big-ass parking lot? And it ain't even a big parking lot. Let's go back to the parking lot. Here it go right here, right? Look at this parking lot from overhead view. They parked the car here, put the gun on the tire, and walked to their hotel, right? Now, let me show you their hotel if they walked up the block. Now, they would have came over here. How they went to the right and saw Suge and them being jacked up is unbeknown to me, right? But they would have had to come over here and walk down this street. Right? They got to walk all the way down here. 4 dudes after a shooting, right? Walk all the way right here to the Park Avenue, right? And then walk through here. And walk through here. And then that's the front of the Monte Carlo, which is the Park MGM today. And they would have walked there. And y'all telling me the police wouldn't have found that white Cadillac? Now, here's one even more interesting. They said the next day they went to the car and the gun was gone. They went back to the car the next day to get the car, Keefe D said on Murder Rap, and the gun was gone. Well, Who took the gun, y'all? Because that gun ended up in Corey Edwards' backyard, remember? His dog found it, dug it up like it was a bone. A dog don't sniff up metal to be digging it up. Now, if a bone, they might smell a bone in the dirt and dig it up. But a gun, come on, man. Right? So you telling me they walked all the way this way and the police ain't jacked these 4 Crip niggas walking down the street? From this hotel right here. They walked all the way from here. And how did Buntry and them lose them driving down Koval right here? They went down a straight, long ass straightaway. This is a long. If they was able to shoot at their car, jump in their car, and run that down and chase them in the car, the girls done turn right here and make the car. You telling me on this long ass block? Look how long this block is, y'all. Look how long that block is. And all they did was make a right here and go right here and park. And Buntry and them lost these niggas on this long ass strip. Now, here's the other thing. In murder rap, this is how you know Keefe D is lying. In murder rap, Keefe D and them said they pulled up right here at this light and they noticed Tupac and them over here, and Tupac was hanging out the window. And the girls going, Tupac, Tupac, right? This is how you know Keefe D is lying, right? If these niggas was if these dudes was at this light, right? And they noticed Tupac and Suge and them over here at this light. And the girls was going, Tupac, Tupac. And that's how they know some. Let me show you something. They would have had to go from Koval all the way up to Las Vegas Boulevard to make a U-turn, right? Look right here. I want you to look at this, right? If they spotted them at the light, how long you think Suge Knight and them was sitting at that light waiting? Right? Suge and them got jacked up by the police up here at Las Vegas Boulevard by the bike cops. Now, why is Suge pulling over for some bike cops? These niggas, did they have sirens on their helmets? On their bikes? Like, who's getting pulled over by goddamn bicycle cops? That's a whole nother story. Right? Now, listen to this. I'm going to zoom in to show y'all. Keefe D and them said they was at this light. And they drove by and they seen Suge and them at the corner. Right? When they driving by. And the girls were saying, Tupac, Tupac. And Pac was hanging out the window. It's nighttime, so I don't know how they would have noticed Tupac. In the car they didn't even know Suge had, because it was a brand new car that he just pulled out. Right? How they would have seen him on the passenger side hanging out the window if they on this side of the street. And they said they noticed them from the light. Right? And the girls said Tupac, Tupac. So now Keefe D and them drives. Show me now where's the place where Keefe D can make a U-turn to catch these dudes that fast, sitting at the light, like they gonna be waiting at the light. If if Keefe D and them was at this light and they noticed them, that means this light changed. And if they seen them from here to there and they noticed them, right? Why would Suge and them still be sitting there waiting for them to go make a U-turn to come back, right? Now look, let's go down East Flamingo, right? You show me where they can make a U-turn. They can't make a U-turn right here. If you get ready to say right here, they can make a U-turn. No, that's the one way. Look, you see the line, the arrows? This is where you go and you make a left to go into whatever hotel this is right here. The Westin now. Back then, I think it was the Maxim, right? So they didn't come here and go through a one-way and turn around and make a U-turn. They got to go all the way up. You see this lane? They would have to go at least in front of this hotel, whatever it is, or over here. Then go to the lane right here. They would have to make a U-turn right here, right? Which is damn near Las Vegas Boulevard. You see how far that is up? And if I zoom out and show you, that's 3/4 of the block that they would have to go up here and make a U-turn somewhere around here. And Suge and them and niggas is still waiting right here at the light after they both had the light to move forward, right? So Suge and them is just sitting there waiting for them to come after the girls say, Tupac, Tupac. And they see him. So they go up here, make the U-turn, turn around, then pulls up on them, do the shooting, go down to Koval, bust a right on East Harmon, go to Audrey Street, park right here at the carriage house, put the gun on the tire, walk all the way up to Las Vegas Boulevard. For some strange reason, they know they can see Suge and them, who is parked over here. Suge made the left here off Flamingo and Las Vegas Boulevard, and then the police jacked them up over there. For some strange reason, these guys is walking back to their hotel, which is south, right? Or over here on Park Avenue. But somehow they walk up this street, see Suge and them getting jacked up by the police, right? But they going over here to Park Avenue. So I guess they go and look at them getting jacked up by the police and seeing Pac getting pulled out the car and getting in the ambulance, right? After the shooting, four dudes walking down the street, right? Then they come walk all the way down here, damn near a mile, and go right here where it says Park MGM, which was the Monte Carlo back then. And you telling me the next day they walk back to this car right here. They go to get in the car and the gun is gone. Right? So they lost the gun. Somebody stole the gun off the tire. Right? But somehow, ironically, that gun ends up buried in Corey Edwards' backyard in Compton. So who came to pick up the gun? And then Keefe D said he didn't drive back in the white Cadillac. So who picked up the car and the gun? Because he said they didn't go back in the white Cadillac. You could go look it up yourself. You could go to Murder Rap and listen to it yourself. I would play it, but I know they will flag it. Right? Explain to me how these dudes drove around the corner, parked in this parking lot right here. Leave a white car. You see how easy it is to spot a white car? It take me 4 seconds to count how many white cars is in this parking lot. They parked the car in this parking lot, put the gun on the front tire, walk all the way up to Las Vegas Boulevard, had to bust a right to go see what happened with Suge and them, and then make a left and go south to Park Avenue, and then make a right and go to the Monte Carlo. And you telling me police is swarming the streets. These niggas don't get jacked up by the police walking back to their hotel. And you tell me the police is looking for a white Cadillac and it's right around the goddamn corner? It's right around the corner. And they don't find this Cadillac to this day? But they parked it right around the corner. And then the next day, they go to walk back to the carriage house. And guess what? The gun is gone. And they go back to Compton and they don't drive the white Cadillac back. So who went and picked up the Cadillac and the gun? Now, here's the thing. Keefe D say, yo, the next day we went back to the car, but the gun was gone. So y'all went back to the white Cadillac and the gun was gone. Who took the gun? And if the gun was gone, like, there's a question for the gangbangers out there. The dudes that did drive-bys, the dudes that know how the streets work, right? Y'all telling me that they shot up this car, drove around the corner, parked the car, put the gun on the tire, right? So you're going to put the gun on the tire in the same car your DNA is in. All 4 of y'all DNA is in this car, and y'all leave the murder weapon right there at the car. Which I'm sure y'all didn't have no gloves. Y'all passing the gun through the car. It's gunshot residue, gunpowder residue on your hands, and y'all going walking down the street. There's gunpowder residue in the car. It may even be shells in the car. And y'all parked in this parking lot. A white Cadillac. As easy it is to spot a white car. You telling me the police didn't find the white Cadillac that was in the parking lot right around the corner, and they put the gun on the tire, and then the next day they come back, the gun is gone. Tell me who that makes sense to, y'all. Now, let me give you a different view, right? I want you to look at it this way. Look at it this way, right? Now, look at these dots, right? These dots would be walking distance from the carriage house, right, to their hotel, the Monte Carlo, which is the Park MGM today, right? You see this? You see these dots? So why would they walk up East Harmon to Las Vegas Boulevard over here where they could see Tupac and Suge being jacked up by the police, right? When they could have went through the back blocks over here to their hotel indiscreetly after shooting up somebody, right? But even here, if you see this other route, they could have went this route. There's an 18-minute walk with the dots, right? Why would they walk up to Las Vegas Boulevard where they saying they saw Pac and Suge getting jacked up by the police, right? You see it? They went up here to East Harmon, walked up to Las Vegas Boulevard, and they said they saw Tupac and them getting in the ambulance and all this, right? But look how long the walk is if they came this way. And they went up here to the busiest street where everybody's walking on the strip after shooting them up, right? What sense do it make, bro? Look, Koval and Flamingo right here where the shooting took place. Sugar and them went up here, made the U-turn, came up here to Las Vegas Boulevard, made the left, right? And his car stopped right there. Keefe D and them bust the right, come down Koval, make another right here on East Harmon, and then pull in on Audrey Street at the carriage house, right? And then get out their car, walk up East Harmon to Las Vegas Boulevard, and then go down here to where you see the blue dots at, and make that right and go up into their hotel. And you telling me from here, the shooting took place and the police couldn't find this white Cadillac that was right around the corner with a gun on the tire? I know some people was born yesterday, but I damn sure wasn't born yesterday. And that makes no sense whatsoever. Right? That makes no sense whatsoever. So if you don't think Keefe D is lying, I got a spaceship to sell you. Let's get back to the paperwork, right? Now, David's story about who was in the white Cadillac is contradicted by a jailhouse informant. Davis consistently said publicly there were 4 people in the white Cadillac. And remember, Gaddafi says the driver was light-skinned with a mustache and looked like a bitch in the face with a bald head and a hat on. That don't describe T. Brown at all. No, none of these guys in the car is light-skinned. So you got to know that Keefe D is lying. David consistently said publicly there were 4 people in the white Cadillac, himself in the front passenger seat, Terrence Smith driving, and Orlando Anderson and DeAndre Smith in the back. But the affidavit describes how a jailhouse informant told Metro in 1997 that his cellmate confessed to being in the vehicle that shot Tupac and described being with only one of the people Davis claimed to have been with Orlando Anderson and also have been with 2 people Davis never mentioned, Jerry Barnes and Darnell Brim. Meanwhile, Davis, according to the cellmate confession, wasn't present. So whoever this cellmate confidential informant is, they saying Keefe D wasn't even in the car. Although Davis' obvious motives to lie explain the contradiction and inconsistencies in his story, the affidavit is oddly credulous. The fact that the only non-public details Davis could provide were riddled with evidentiary contradictions and inconsistencies would seem to have been reason to pause and consider whether Davis' claims were credible and what motivations he might have to lie. The answer would have been obvious. In each instance, Davis benefited from claiming to have been present in the white Cadillac. Initially, he was able to dodge drug charges by telling that story in the proffer agreement. And people act like Keefe D couldn't have been lying to the police because they had him dirty. There was a profit motive. Davis made a good deal of money by repeating his story. First in the Death Row Chronicles, then in the Compton Street Legend, and after that in follow-up YouTube videos. It wouldn't have been hard to find out that Davis was paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for the documentary and the book, and therefore had a clear financial incentive to exploit the lie that proved so valuable during his proffer. And again, that would have explained why Davis' story didn't jibe in critical ways with the other evidence described in or missing from the affidavit. Think of it this way. Shakur's murder was essentially the entertainment worlds of JFK's assassination, endlessly dissected, mythologized, monetized, so that not hard to see why someone in Davis' position might falsely place himself at the center of it all for personal gain. And yet, strangely, the affidavit seems to take it on faith that Davis' public comments were true, notwithstanding how they conflicted with the other evidence. Number 4, the affidavit's law enforcement sources include rogue LAPD detective Greg Caden. The case for profitable cause laid out in the affidavit relies in part on facts uncovered years earlier by detectives investigating the Shakur shooting, including notably LAPD Detective Greg Caden. The affidavit references a 2008 proffer. Proffer session that was recorded secretly and probably illegally by Caden, as well as Caden's description of his investigation. But there were two things about Caden that weren't in the affidavit. First, Caden had cashed in on his involvement in the Shakur investigation by publishing a book, Murder Rap, the untold story of Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur murders, investigations by the detective who solved both cases. You ain't solved nothing, Greg Caden, lying ass. Which is essentially a hagiographic account or hydrographic account of Caden as the much decorated LAPD detective assigned to solve the homicide. Second, around the same time Caden was investigating Shakur's murder, the investigation the affidavit cites the much decorated detective was pilloried in the press as a rogue LAPD cop who had bribed and threatened key witnesses to obtain testimony against the defendant and federal witnesses. To obtain testimony against a defendant after a federal judge issued a 147-page opinion that singled out Caden, vacated the guilty verdicts, and apparently prompt an investigation of Caden's by LAPD's Internal Affairs Group. None of this made it into the affidavit. Put simply, the affidavit calls for probable cause amounted to trying to breathe new life into the evidence that was more than a quarter century old, a process that required crediting Davis' public statements that were themselves years old and plainly self-serving and often at odds with the evidence Still, it was enough to get a search warrant, and while the case for probable cause was weak, it was ironclad compared to the justification searching Davis' home at night. B. The affidavit nighttime justification relies on a pretext of danger and circular generic theories about safety. Nothing about why the 27-year-old case officers couldn't wait until the morning. Nothing about why after 27 years officers couldn't wait until the morning. The affidavit rationalize nighttime execution with boilerplate safety concerns. In addition to establishing probable cause, the affidavit needed to justify executing the search warrant at night and support. Here's what was offered. Dwayne Keefe Davis is a multiple time convicted felon for narcotics violations and had previous arrests for possession of a firearm by a felon. The cover of darkness will allow officers to surround and secure the residence. Should Davis or other people located in the target residence barricade themselves, darkness will allow officers to evacuate the surrounding homes with the least exposure to residents if should become necessary to breach the metal security door of the front door. Darkness will assist in the officer's approach to the door. Number two, the affidavit description of Davis' history, while technically accurate, creates the false impression that he's dangerous. The affidavit description of Davis' criminal history was technically true. Davis did not have prior felony drug convictions, and he had been arrested for possessing a gun. But at the time, the most recent of those drug convictions was 25 years old in 1998, and his gun possession charge was from 2015, 8 years earlier. Meanwhile, Davis' life had changed dramatically beginning in 2008. When he left the narcotics trade for good per his agreement with law enforcement. At that point, he began working at Mistress Group doing inspection work for oil refineries. He left that job in 2014 because of a heart attack and subsequent cancer diagnosis and moved to Las Vegas in 2014 with his longtime wife because of her work. Because of her work with an upscale retail chain popular with the yoga and soy demographic. By 2023, when the search warrant was being sought, Davis was 60 years old, retired cancer survivor with adult children and grandchildren who live with his wife in the same Henderson. In the same Henderson home. To convince the court of this, convince the court of this, the affidavit provided an accurate but selective set of facts suggested Davis was essentially an armed drug dealer and murder suspect, given the affidavit's credulous reading of Davis' public fabulations. The intended misimpression being that Davis was dangerous. Number three, to address pretextual danger, the affidavit offers tactical justifications that is self-defeating. Based on the pretext of Davis' dangerousness, the affidavit said about justifying that the affidavit said about justifying the supposed tactical and safety the safety advantages of serving the search warrant at night, explaining how darkness would allow officers to surround and secure residents, approach and breach the metal security door if necessary, and to safely evacuate neighbors with the least exposure to residents. if Davis or others barricaded themselves into the home. But this reasoning is circular and self-defeating. Take the perpetrated or what's this word? Hold on. I think it's perpetuity. Let me make sure. Purported Take the purported concern about neighbors. The theory is that if Davis or others barricaded themselves in the home, then darkness will allow officers to evacuate the surrounding homes with the least exposure to the residents. Having neighbors' homes, in other words, having neighbor homes, in other words, is a potential risk that darkness will minimize. But since people are typically out during the day and home at night, the affidavit was asking to execute the warrant when neighbors were most likely to be home and thus, by its own logic, most at risk. The justification thus came to this: we need to conduct the search at night because of the risk of conducting a search at night. And even setting aside the circularity, in the absence of any evidence suggesting a barricade was likely, the affidavit's generic safety justification apply equally to virtually every search warrant for every home because the cover of darkness always provides extra measure of safety, the affidavit describes. The affidavit fails to provide any case specific reasons justifying nighttime execution after 27 years. It's number 4. Conspicuously absent from the affidavit justification is a single case or fact specific. The reason the search couldn't wait at least until morning, if not until Davis left the house, the affidavit never claimed that the evidence would be destroyed or there was other cause for urgency, nor could there be considered the darkness always provides the extra measure of safety the affidavit describes. Wait, hold on. I read that twice. The affidavit never claimed that the evidence would be destroyed or that there was any other cause for urgency, nor could there be considering the investigation was 27 years old and the new evidence came from a 5-year-old documentary, a 4-year-old book, and 2-year-old YouTube videos. Ultimately, whatever was in Davis Henderson home on July 15, 2023, it would presumably still be there after sunrise. and the affidavit, to its author's credit, never claimed otherwise. For all the flaws and incoherence in the affidavit's justification, the common thing in these cases is legitimate necessity. The common theme in this, the common thing in these cases is legitimate necessity, case-specific tactics, case-specific facts, establishing a credible concern that evidence will disappear if officers wait until the morning to conduct the search. C. When a nighttime provision is obtained in bad faith, suppression is appropriate. While the Nevada Supreme Court has not considered what the appropriate remedy is for an invalid nighttime search, the consensus is that since this is a technical rather than constitutional violation, suppression isn't mandated if the search was otherwise reasonable, unless there was bad faith. In that case, suppression may be appropriate. Absent a clear constitutional violation, technical noncompliance with Rule 41 doesn't require suppression unless there was prejudice or there is evidence of intentional and deliberate disregard of a Rule 41 provision. Contain no supporting facts to show a particular need for a nighttime search. Suppression is not required because warrant was otherwise valid and the undisputed facts clearly show that this violation was not and could not have been a result of bad faith of the part of the officers involved. That's the United States versus Berry. Considering whether a night search prejudices a defendant or whether there was reckless disregard of the proper procedure for a nighttime search by the officers of the officials involved, in which case the search is unconstitutional and the fruits of the search must be suppressed. That's State versus Humphrey, 2013 in Ohio. The logic of this authority is sound. Rules limiting nighttime searches protect important privacy rights, but those rules are meaningless and those rights cease to exist if investigations can violate these rules in bad faith and walk away with the evidence. Finding good cause was an abuse of discretion. Self evident bad faith requires suppression, and at a minimum, Davis is entitled to a hearing. A. Finding good cause for nighttime execution was an abuse of discretion. A court's finding of reasonable necessity for nighttime execution of a search warrant is reviewed for abuse of discretion. And that's in the case of Sanchez versus the state. A court abuse its discretion when it is basis number two, night insistent on legitimate urgency or case specific safety concerns was a disregard of Nevada's reasonable necessity standard. Even accepting the affidavit's misleading portrait of Davis, it failed to establish reasonable necessity for nighttime execution, which generally requires credible risk that evidence will appear if officers wait until the morning. Indeed, indeed, in every reported Nevada case upholding nighttime execution, the justification was urgency, evidence that wouldn't survive until sunrise. The affidavit's justification did not contain a hint of urgency, let alone any case specific reason the search couldn't wait until the morning, or better yet, until Davis left the house until the next day. And there was no urgency. The investigation was 27 years old. The newest evidence was YouTube videos that were 2 years old. Whatever evidence was in Davis Henderson home on July 15, 2023, there was no reason to think it wouldn't be there after sunrise. The affidavit didn't claim otherwise. The purported safety concerns were not an acceptable substitute for credible urgency. The purported safety benefits of nighttime execution, the affidavit broadly that it ceased to serve the statutory purpose of limiting nighttime executions to cases where they are legitimately justified was an abuse of discretion. B. The affidavit invited the magistrate abuse of discretion in bad faith that requires suppression. Police officers don't have to provide deliberately falsify information to mislead a judge. They can just easily mislead by reporting less than the total story to manipulate the inferences a judge will draw. And that's in United States versus Standard. The affidavit itself evidently provided less than the total story in bad faith to mislead the court. It describes Davis as a multiple time convicted felon for narcotics violation with a previous arrest for possession of a firearm by a felon, and calculated to suggest that he's armed and dangerous. He's an armed and dangerous criminal that was still living some version of the life described in the Compton Street legend. But the affidavit omitted that however old he is, at the 27 years old, and the Davis was now a 60-year-old retired cancer survivor who had lived quietly with his wife in the same Henderson home for nearly a decade. None of this information was provided to the court. That was not inadvertence or an attentive drafting. The affidavit sought to convince the court that Davis was dangerous. An accurate description would have revealed a man who posed no threat whatsoever. The affidavit thus conveys a caricature The affidavit thus conveys a caricature of Davis, a portrait of him that bore little resemblance to reality. Technically, true in parts, perhaps, but crafted to deceive. This is bad faith. As discussed, courts converge on the principle that suppression may be appropriate for bad faith or even reckless violations of nighttime search protections, and the underlying logic is straightforward. Rules protecting citizens from unjust nighttime intrusions mean nothing if officers can circumvent them through deception. At a minimum, this is C, at a minimum, the affidavit mandate a Frank style hearing. If the court isn't inclined to find bad faith on the present record, it should set a Frank style event, a Frank style evidentiary hearing. A defendant is entitled to a Frank's hearing if he makes a substantial preliminary showing that a search warrant affidavit included a statement necessary to probable cause that was knowingly and intentionally false or made with reckless disregard for the truth. If a defendant proves falsity or reckless disregard by a preponderance, preponderance, and what remains in the affidavit is insufficient to establish probable cause, the search warrant must be voided and the fruits of the search excluded. The principle extends to material omission. The same logic applies here. Both probable cause and good cause for the nighttime executions depend on the court's assessment of facts presented by the requesting officer. Both serve as safeguards. Once against one against unjusted, excuse me, one against unjustified searches, the other against searches that are unjustifiably invasive in their timing. And both can be subverted by presenting a misleading picture to obtain authorization that an accurate presentation would not support. If any, excuse me, if an officer cannot dissemble his way to probable cause, he should not be permitted to dissemble his way to a nighttime execution The integrity of the warrant process, which Franks emphasized as paramount. The integrity of the warrant process, which Franks emphasizes as paramount, demands no less. So basically, in a long ass goddamn motion, they saying that the police ran up in his house in the hours of the night where it's not legal, and that any information, any evidence that they came upon or confiscated from his house during that raid, that was during illegal hours for a house being raided in this type of case, in this type of in this case, basically they want the judge to throw out any evidence that the prosecution had that they obtained when they raided his house during illegal hours. So I don't know what they got in there, which was probably the book. It might be transcripts from the book. But it wasn't nothing for him to get it. There was no guns or anything like that. So I don't know what they got in that raid, but whatever they got in the raid, they saying that it shouldn't be able to be used in the case against them because it was obtained illegally. Bird, what up? Whew, that was a lot. Now, I got some other questions, right? Because we went over Keefe D dropped the gun in the car at the carriage house, right? On East Harmon and Audrey Street. Right around the corner from where I think it was Neckbone that might have been in the car with Buntry, was chasing them and they lost them right around the corner, right? Then these dudes walked to the Monte Carlo Resort and Casino, which is the Park MGM now, which is 0.8 miles to the hotel, and walked by East Harmon in Las Vegas, right where Suge and Tupac was in the ambulance, and they saw them, right? They left the gun in the on the tire of the Cadillac. They drive in a white Cadillac. They parked the white Cadillac right around the corner from the shooting scene, where their DNA is in this car. Their DNA is probably on the gun. And the police didn't find this white Cadillac with a gun on the tire. And they came back the next morning and the gun was gone. But somehow, ironically, the gun winds up in Corey Edwards' backyard buried. And Corey Edwards' dog dug this gun up like it was a bone. And this was a gun that was in the Compton police evidence locker. How did this gun go from Vegas on a tire of a white Cadillac and end up in the Compton police evidence locker. How did Reggie know it was Orlando Anderson that shot Tupac, allegedly shot Tupac and Suge within an hour, but he said he didn't see nobody for 3 hours? How did this gun that was on the tire at the carriage house end up in the Compton evidence locker? Another question I got. If this whole thing was about a chain that we know never was took, but they want to say it was a bounty on death row chains or whatever, and they had this fight, right? Not only do we know that Trayvon was originally a Crip, one that the other guy, um, what's his last name? Stan? I can't remember his last name. But the other guy, he was a Crip too. And him and Trayvon both turned blood when they ran into Orlando Anderson and them, and they had that fight in the Lakewood Mall, right? If this fight was over a chain, right? Why wasn't it immediate retaliation in Compton about that chain? Why didn't the mob go hunting for Orlando and the next day, the next week, the next month after that Lakewood Mall incident? Why did they have to wait until Vegas? And what they was telling Tupac that for? Right? And then Marv James says that in one of his interviews that what took place at the Lakewood Mall put them all on red alert. And they heard the South Sides was coming to Las Vegas. Right? So if the South Sides Crips had beef with the Mall Rules, why Keefe D tell a story that when he ran into Suge in Vegas the night before, Suge came over to dap him up, gave him a hug. All the girls was on his jock because Suge came over there and gave him love, and they didn't have no beef. Right? Then you got Marv James said he was in front of Club 662 in the parking lot, and he said that the South Sides pulled up right there, and they sat there for 5 minutes, and then they pulled off. And he called Buntree and them and said that, yo, the South Sides is up here. Right? Why they didn't do nothing when they seen them if it was on site with the South Side? Right? Why didn't Marv James and them do anything when they seen him? Why is he calling Buntree and them? And then he said he was sitting in the front and he think that it was Hen Dog standing next to him. And he told him, yo, that's the South Sides right there. And they drove off. If they rented this Cadillac, and remember, they said they was in the van. They didn't even say they was in the Cadillac, right? But let's just, for the sake of being dumb, say they was in the Cadillac. How did Marv James know that was them in that Cadillac, right? Now, when you go back and you listen to Keefe D's interview, he said they drove in the back parking lot of Club 662, and they sat there for 30 to 40 minutes waiting for Suge and Tupac to come. Marv James said they pulled up in the bus stop area for 5 minutes and they took off. Keefe D said they pulled in the back parking lot and they sat there for 40 minutes. Why ain't these stories adding up? And you ain't got to take my word for it. You could just go watch the interviews yourself. Keefe D said they pulled in Club 662 parking lot and sat there for 40 minutes. Marv James said they was there for 5 minutes. Which one of these niggas is lying? Then Marv James says that he got a call that Tupac and Suge got shot. And he's over at Club 662. But Reggie tells the story that he didn't find out until Buntree and Neckbone pulled up at the club and told him what happened. And he didn't believe them. He thought that they was pulling his leg, joking with him because he wasn't around them. And, you know, he usually be with them. So he thought they was pulling a joke on him. But Marv James said he got a phone call. And he got a phone call, and Henron or Hen Dog is standing right next to him. Reggie's right there at the call. He got the call that Suge and them got shot. And he didn't tell Reggie. Reggie saying that he found out when Neckbone and Buntree pulled up to the club. That's how he found out. And then he seen all the police cars taking off, and then he went and followed up, right? But strangely, he didn't go to the scene where Suge and them was jacked up on Las Vegas Boulevard with the police. Cause it was Reggie who said he didn't see everybody until 3 hours later. Was he the one that went in allegedly picked up the gun? For that gun to wind up in the Compton evidence locker? How did the gun go from the tire into Compton's evidence locker? Then you got Orlando, pardon me. Too many names. Then you got Marv James saying that after the fight or during the fight at the MGM, Orlando Anderson told Suge, yo, F you and your money. That's strange that Marv James says that Orlando told Suge, yo, F you and your money, but later on he took 60 grand from Reggie and them to go testify on Suge's behalf. And then when you listen to Marv James, he says that Trayvon went over to Suge and Tupac and them and said, there go the guy right there. There go that little mother effer. Why would he go to them and be like, yo, there go the guy right there. There go that little mother effer. When Suge told me a totally different story about what Trayvon said to Tupac. Then Marv James says, Suge came to the club and everybody was going crazy. And Suge told everybody, yo, don't worry about it. And assured everyone that Tupac was going to be all right because the bullet hit his medallion. So they all just continued to party. So Suge went back to the club after the shooting, after he got stitched up, and told everybody to continue to party. It ain't that serious. Pac was going to be all right because he got shot in his medallion. This is all according to Marv James. I'm not making this up. You can look it up. Look at the interview yourself. And then he said, Henron came over to him and was like, nah, Marv James, he's not going to be all right. And that he was going to die. And he wasn't going to make it. And that's when everybody went over to the hospital. And then he also says that they came over to the club and said, yo, Southside just dumped on us after the shooting. They came over to see these dudes be lying. First, Marv James said they got a call that Tupac and Suge got shot. Then he says in another interview that after the shooting, they came over to the club and said, yo, Southside just dumped on us. And we had to regroup, and we knew it was on with Southside. It's a lot of lies being told here, man. It is a lot of lies being told here. I don't even know what to say. But what I do know is they are lies. It's too many lies going on. But I got a whole other breakdown, deep dive that I worked on that I want to drop. But I guess I'll do it tomorrow because I already had y'all on here for almost 3 hours. And it is Christmas Day. So Feliz Navidad to all my Boricuas, my Panamanians, my Ecuadorians, my Puerto Ricans, my Colombians, everything under the Latino spectrum. You know, happy Hanukkah to all the Jewish folks out there. You know, happy Hanukkah to all the Muslims and everybody out there. Merry Christmas to all you Christians and Baptists and everything like that. Choke no joke. I'm going to fire my catfish that I got from the farmer's market yesterday. I already seasoned it up. I'm about to go flour it up and throw it in a big skillet and make my sweet mashed potatoes and do my thing for the Christmas day, man. But appreciate everybody that reached out and said happy Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Special shout out to all my subscribers and membership gang moderators. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you all. We got 5 days, 6 days to the new year. 2026 is around the corner. 2026 is going to be a great year. I promise you. All right. Choke no joke. We all here. All right. Rest in peace, Tupac Shakur. Rest in peace to my man, Notorious B.I.G. Pac, we got you. All right. Shout out to everybody out there that lost somebody that you are hurting right now because they're not here for the holidays. Our prayers go out to you. All right. Ladies with the children, have fun with your children tonight. Fathers with the children, have fun with your children tonight. Children, respect your parents. If you ain't got no money to get them a gift, just make a card. All right. Out of loose leaf paper, whatever it is, give them something You know what I mean? Go to the store, buy them some socks. It don't matter. It's the thought that count. And if you can't afford nothing, just give them a phone call and say happy holidays. Or give a hug. All right? Choke no joke, y'all already know, man. May God bless you all. Peace.
Choke no joke. Jack Brown. Yeah now. Choke no joke. Jack Brown. Yeah. This what ATL in New York sound like. Let's go. Y'all hating ass niggas, I see y'all. Choke get busy, that's why I got the crown. Hate in the air, you clowns, I see the envy that you breed, jealousy. What you need is your own damn hustle. Stop worrying about mine. Nigga, I'm popping cause I put in time. Came out modeling, camera in hand. Still get busy with the mic in hand. Streets pulled out, niggas got sprayed. Niggas turn on you when they see you get paid. The intimidation in your face. Where's the love? What's taking place? You want my gold and my ducats. Cause my money overflowing out of buckets. Shot him in public, made people holler. Scar on his face for the money and the power. I'm the choker. Choker. The truth in the industry made me the choker. 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 The truth in the industry made me the game had me fooled, got in, was young. Thought talent made you rich, damn was dumb. More to make, cake from crumbs. You gotta be sweet, G or native tongue. My heartbeat went into overload. When Larry tried to turn me into a mole, told me show my curly to the CEO. I didn't think it's funny, so his jaw hit the floor and grabbed that chair that broke his back. Then realized that's a hate attack. Harassment comes assault, you in the maze. No way out, like Puff and Mace. Touch me, tease me, I catch a case. Nigga, you ain't straight as your poker face. Father law God, in that game I fold. This sun don't tick, demon time don't hold. I'm the choker. Choker. The truth in the industry made me the choker. 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 The truth in the industry made me the choker. Choker. The truth in the industry made me the choker. Choker. On the ones and twos. Choker. What y'all want to do? I'm here now. Eden Wall, stand up. Shout out to the bomb squad. Choke no joke. Yeah. It's choke no joke. Let's go. Choke no joke. Chicken choke no joke. Choke no joke.